Okay, hello everyone. I have played Destiny since I can remember, since Destiny 1 towards the very beginning. Um, and lately the game has not been in the best state. Um, Probably the worst it's ever been, and so I've seen a lot of things going around about Destiny's or Bungie's kind of last option right now to make Destiny 3 or Destiny Classic or some kind of new game. And I wanted to kind of weigh in my opinion and give sort of a way or some ways I think the game can not necessarily be saved or completely fixed, but helped. Rather than them having to make a completely new game. I think a lot of these things that I'm going to be talking about are things that were either very good in the past and they just kind of got rid of, or they're things that we've wanted for a good while and we just have never gotten. Like you can see the new player experience, there's lots to cover there. Um, And so, yeah, I just wanted to weigh in here and just give some ideas on quality of life, different updates they can do, patches. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, you can see here first, I was starting off with the new player experience. As we kind of all know, Destiny is notorious for having the worst new player experience ever. Like, I honestly cannot think of another game with a worse new player onboarding experience. And I mean, I don't really know what caused the evolution of this. Destiny 1, I feel like the new player experience was actually very solid. It threw you right into the first expansion, the first missions. Um, But Destiny 2, ever since the content vault, there has just been nothing there for new players. And I saw also this graph floating around that was about the level of new players coming to Destiny 2, and ever since the content vault, that number has gotten very terrifyingly low. So here are just some ideas. So first I've got a complete removal of all the spoiling cutscenes when the game is opened and removal of all direction towards the nearest expansion. So what I mean by this is typically whenever they release a new expansion, like they did this for uh, Lightfall, they did it for Final Shape, they did it for just now Edge of Fate, they as soon as you open the game, as soon as you get into orbit, they slam you with the cutscenes, one or two cutscenes about the current expansion. And a lot of the times, that cutscene entails some pretty big spoilers, especially if you're a new player who has not played any of the other expansions. And so I think that a removal of those should be in order. And for new players, I don't think there should be any direction towards the newest expansion. That just causes convolution, that like all this confusion. They don't know what they're doing. Like it makes no sense to throw a new player into the newest expansion, into the story where it's at right now, where I barely even understood the story playing that campaign. Um, but yeah, it's this is kind of bare bones, like a simple thing that can be done. Like does not, and a lot of these fixes do not take a lot of manpower. I know Bungie has like half the employees it once had, but a lot of these aren't breaking. These are just things that like you you kind of got to do. Um, like revamping the nuclear quest line. I'm sure they're gonna keep the Cosmodrome mission. That's fine. But they could at least make the menu navigation tutorial more in depth throughout it, and by that I mean the character menu, the all the menus in that screen, uh, and all the menus with the director and the portal. I think those are just not fleshed out at all. They're still very confusing. I think there could be a potential uh, pick you could do between a brand new or kind of played similar games like looter shooter type to get a tailored nuclear quest line, and I think this could kind of maybe not replace but help the fact that there is a skip for all the nuclear stuff, which I think most people do if you have a friend you're playing with. Um, but yeah, and I think the brand new route could go a lot more in depth with just kind of basic controls, how to use your abilities, like all those different kinds of things. And played similar games would be a little bit more similar to how it is right now. No, still not like nearly as bad as it is right now, but not as bare bones boring as it um, really should be. Let's see, and then when the new players return to orbit for the first time, the tutorial of the director and quest tab should be given, and the only pop-up, like there are so many pop-ups for all these things you can buy, and it's gotta go. The only one should be, I think, a screen showing the expansions in order because a new player has no idea what the expansions are. A new player has no idea how to find these expansions, and it should start with Shadowkeep. In a perfect world, they would start with the Red War. In a perfect world, they would bring that back. They would uh, maybe release them as new expansions in their new game engine, but realistically, it'd start with Shadowkeep, and I think maybe an optional cinematic showing the story from Red War to Shadowkeep, keyword optional, um, with a dialogue probably saying to check out Destiny 1 for further story development. Um, could be okay. I think they gotta just like completely get rid of all the gray loot. I mean, unless like I said, unless it's just for the bare beginning weapons and armor, it serves no point. Green loot serves no point anymore. Blue loot, I mean, is kind of okay, but they just, with their new player experience right now, they're just throwing legendaries at you. They're throwing everything at you. And it kind of has gotten rid of that excitement in the progression that I think is important and was very prevalent in Destiny 1 and which caused a lot of success. Um, And so I said through the campaigns, have a strict structure to be power ready after completing Shadowkeep through Edge of Fate, and have a strict progression of rare blue to legendary purple to exotic yellow with the loot pool. And what I mean is that I think Bungie needs to focus on this linear story progression, focus on new players who are starting with the first expansion in Destiny 2 and going through to the end and making sure those rewards are tailored for those players and are getting them to where they should be once they've completed all of the campaigns. Um, and that's also why I said to completely remove 801's free handout exotics. I think she's handing out like you can buy like 30 of them or something. I don't know. And I said to instead implement them into the core of the legacy campaigns. And by legacy campaigns, I mean all campaigns before the final shape, but I mean, I guess this would kind of include the final shape. and for them to be easily earnable and exciting for new players. Like, ooh, I got a shiny new weapon. I want more. Oh, what does this weapon do? Oh, this is so cool. I think they should be integrated into these campaigns, the armor, the weapons, um, as just more incentive and reward for new players to keep playing. There's a lot of exotics, and as a new player, you don't have any of them. So if you can get some in the Shadowkeep campaign, that'd be great. If you can get more than just like, I think the one armor piece you get at the very end of the campaign, that'd be great. Um, and so while easily accessible campaigns should be a major part of the new player quest line, I do think effort should be made to eventually encourage a game of Crucible or Strike or Gambit, and I think there should be rewards for each of those from their respective vendor to increase new player familiarity with the tower and the vendors. I really, it's just, it's very confusing for new players to go to the tower for the first time and have no idea where anything is, what anyone does, what the point of anything is. I think if you were to have a player do a strike and then very methodically lead them to Commander Zavala, straight out tell them this is your guy for strikes. Like and he gives you rewards for doing strikes. That's a lot more new player friendly, user friendly, new player friendly for these kinds of things. I don't think everything should be thrown at these players at once. Um, and of course, all expansions up to but not including the final shape should be free. That's a given. These expansions, I mean, I've seen them go on sale for like $2. Make them free at this point. This is a free to play game. You should not be locking these main things behind paywalls. That is not how you get new players. Like, it just isn't. And all the weapons, armor, exotics, up to but not including the final shape, should also be free. And I mean all of the weapons and armor from expansions, all of the expansion specific exotics, those should all be free. Like all those exotics in the exotic kiosk up to the final shape, those should be free to get. And I think all the legacy campaigns should award you the materials, like whether it's the exotic ciphers or the heckload of glimmer or whatever, to get exotics from the exotic kiosk and provide those weapons and the expansion specific armor within the campaign. I don't think you should, like, for example, finish the Shadowkeep campaign, be like, oh, cool, I got one exotic armor piece from this, and then go to the exotic kiosk, see all those weapons in there, and be like, so I did that whole campaign, and yet there's still all this stuff I gotta get. And what, it costs an exotic cipher? How do I get that? Oh, I gotta buy the season pass. Oh, I gotta wait for Zur to get here. Like, no. Put them in the campaigns. That, mm, just do that. Uh, and all the past seasonal missions and story content really, I don't understand why it's always vaulted whenever it leaves. It's very important. It's it just makes no sense. It just leaves more gaps in the story, and it just drives new players, returning players to still not know what is going on, and they're not supplementing it with any kind of like you know what, the only thing they're supplementing all this is the little timeline thing in the director, and that thing is just useless. It's just useless. Like, players do not want to read about what happened. They want to play what happened. Like, that should be a given for any game. Like, nobody wants to open up a game and have to watch a 24-hour lore video just to get a sense of what's going on. So, if they could be part of the director, maybe in the legacy tab, all the missions and story content, and their rewards should be available and at least have tiers. I don't think Bungie's ever going to get rid of this new tier system for weapons and armor that they came out with in the Edge of Fate. So I think if they added tiers to the old seasonal weapons and armor, that would keep them from being a little obsolete and give a little incentive to do those missions and story content. I think that would uh, keep people busy for a good bit. So let's get into the core game, including the portal and director. So problems I'm seeing is that the core game feels stale, repetitive. The grind is so boring and so tedious. And at least I have feelings of like emptiness and nothing to do. And I feel like this is a game where there's everything to do, but there is just nothing to do at the same time. Um, and the portal, everyone hates the portal. It makes the director feel empty, and it just was a thoughtful change, but the execution was not the best. Um, and so I think if you were to either completely rework the portal or remove it entirely, that would fix it. And again, Bungie is probably not going to remove the portal. They're going to keep their changes they made with the Edge of Fate that they are proud of. And so I think a rework is going to be the better option. Um, and so what I'm saying is I think they should simplify it way down. And I think they should really at the start have made it more of a convenience over the director rather than this is your new director. Like, um, I think they can implement some parts of the portal into the current director and keep those ideas that they had of like solo, quick play, fire team ops, pinnacle ops in the portal as literally just a convenient place to launch those things. I do not think they should have ever tried to replace the director. That is like where all the excitement was going from planet to planet. Um, and I think they should have just focused on making the director more user friendly and new player friendly rather than creating this whole new section that pretty much just makes it even more confusing what you should be doing and still having the director there, but just a shell of what it used to be. Um, and so I said Bungie's main problem came from seeing this as a full replacement of the director when they literally could have just made it more friendly to new players. And the portal, I really think, should just be a spot of convenience, and it never should have been a full takeover. Another thing I'm saying is please make bounties come back. I actually haven't seen very much um, talk about this. I don't really know what the general community's opinion is on this, but I personally think that bounties should come back. The seasonal hub that they have is okay. It's a little pointless. The rewards are pointless. Um, it was an interesting thought, um, but it could be better. I think the bounties should give more than they used to. I think they should give XP, enhancement cores, especially since Bungie's removing unstable cores and they're saying enhancement cores are going to be really used for everything. Like they replace legendary shards, they're replacing unstable cores. And I think upgrade modules should also go with the minor ones. And the major ones, I think, should add bright dust. And I think that um, that bright dust part ties into some stuff I'm going to talk about later. And another fun idea is potential weapons and armor like Destiny 1. I remember you could get these Crucible bounties. They would award Trials weapons, like, and they were very exciting. And I think some kind of implementation like that could be an interesting take. Another thing I wanted to talk about was that campaign missions should be replayable. Um, right now, I don't think there's any reason to replay any campaigns other than to do them on another character to get the exotic armor piece at the end, which is a heck of a grind. But I think they should be replayable just for other reasons. I think they could do it by just making the weapons and armor associated with each expansion actually relevant to the current sandbox, whatever. I think they could literally just put tiers on them, create high tiered loot. They could award the past seasonal cosmetics as well, or they could award those are they chronologs that they put so you can buy stuff in the season pass. You have to buy the old season pass and then you have to earn these kind of rare currency to actually get the stuff in the season pass. It's another issue. Um, and they can also be used to progress bounties. I think really the main thing that should be addressed is uh, updating the loot pool for each expansion, updating its associated armor, everything, because everything is just so obsolete. Like it's insane. Um, this is an idea I had a little earlier today. Bungie needs to create example builds. So they created the is it the training grounds, whatever thing in the tower where you can test all your weapons and stuff. I really think Bungie needs to make example builds, like with subclasses, with exotics, weapon loadouts, like these things. I really think that this would be very helpful as builds have always been kind of a third party thing. You got to have a lot of knowledge about everything and you use these different websites to create your builds. I think these don't have to be advanced. They should just be very basic, at least to start. And I think they would be a good way to kind of introduce everyone to this aspect of the game. And so I said there could be at least two for each subclass to begin, and hopefully one for each exotic. That is probably a lot to ask, but it's is an idea. And I think they need to focus this has been a problem for a very long time. They need to focus on making old exotics not obsolete. And what I'm talking about is like Cold Heart, Prometheus Lens, Mida Multi-Tool. Like nobody uses these guns in PvE at least. They are never, ever, ever going to compete with the current or past meta of weapons. And I don't know if Bungie just doesn't know what to do with these. Um, and so I'm thinking whether it's weekly buffs to certain old exotics, buffing them in general, this really, really needs to be fixed because the exotic weapon economy itself is extremely stale. Like you see the same stuff over and over and over. There are a lot of exotic weapons in this game, and I guarantee you 75% of them are just completely obsolete. Um, and let's see. This was a change that I was very confused by, is that they made it so when you dismantle legendary weapons and armor, you don't get enhancement cores again. And I feel like they made it so you also don't get glimmer. Um, Revert that, go back to that. If you're going to make enhancement cores the main currency, make them accessible. Don't make them have to buy the 15 enhancement cores from the Cryptarch every week and not know how to get them elsewhere. I also said there could be returnal of prime engrams. Um, these engrams could have tiers to them. You could get a tier 2 engram, tier 5 engram. I think this could help the weapon and armor economy just for kind of the basic points of the game. Like if you're thinking like normal PvP, normal strikes, normal gambit, if you're getting these tiered engrams for that loot specific to those things, I think that could be a good way to help this economy and kind of help return the uniqueness to Guardians rather than every Guardian looking the exact same and using the exact same stuff like it has been for a long time. Um, and going off that, there needs to be a returnal of the feeling of wonder when you get an exotic engram, particularly in the wild off an enemy. I mean, right now it's just like kind of gotten to the point where everyone has every exotic, or at least every exotic you get from an exotic engram. And in Destiny 1, it was the most exciting thing in the world when you would get an exotic engram, dropping off an enemy. You'd use your 3 of coins and hope and hope and hope and hope. And now it just, there's nothing there. Um, and so I think they could add exotics that can only be obtained this way. If they add exotics that can only be obtained off of bosses, for example, um, that could be a start. And I really think the collections menu should never existed. I think that got rid of the wonder and excitement in the game. I was very upset when that came out. Um, or yeah, like I said, it should have been in Destiny 1 where you could only see what you've actually obtained. I don't think I really don't think it was a smart idea being able to see every weapon and armor piece in the entire game. Um, there is just that just got rid of all the mystery and excitement. Um, like I still don't know every exotic in Destiny 1. There's so much still I don't know. Um, and I also think that all the destination vendors, nobody goes to them. They have no points. They have no meaningful rewards, no nothing. I think they should be reworked. They're leveling their bounties, add new rewards, incentives to go to them. Like, nobody goes to Eris Morn on the moon or Nimbus on Yamuna when you're not playing the campaign. Like, nobody does. There is literally zero reason to go to any of these vendors anymore. Um, they need the rewards reworked. If you add tiers to their weapons, because you're not going to get rid of the tiering system, Bungie, then make the rewards not obsolete. Give them leveling similar to how the leveling was for vendors in the final shape. Give them bounties like the bounties I have talked about and will talk about. Add new rewards and just figure out the incentives to go to them. Like you could go to them when you're replaying the expansion missions for rewards. They give you more rewards. Like it's just really simple fixes that can go a long way. Um, and since there's no seasons, and I guess no episodes anymore, bring back episodes. Episode Heresy was very, very good. It was actually like probably one of my favorites. Um, it was probably my favorite, let's call it a seasonal thing, since like Season of the Worthy, or I don't even know. It was really good. And now they didn't supplement it with anything. There's literally just nothing now. Well, I mean, there was Ash and Iron, but I wouldn't really call that anything. Um, yeah, go back to episodes or go back to a seasonal model or supplement it with anything. I don't understand why there's nothing. Um, all right, so let's move into PvP. So we're going to talk about PvP and then we're going to talk about PvE. So I wanted to start with Trials of Osiris. I've been a huge Trials of Osiris fan ever since it came out in Destiny 2, since Trials of the Nine, and since Trials of Osiris came out. I remember um, I probably played the most of Trials when the hard light meta was there, if anyone remembers that. So Trials right now is very stale. There's a lack of rewards and incentive. It's really impossible for most players to win, let alone go flawless anymore. And with me and with many other players, leaves you in a much worse mood than you were in going into Trials. And so with my proposed fixes, I was a very uh, big fan of the older system with the with the rewards on 3, 5, and 7 wins. With the old flawless system, I don't know why they ever changed the old flawless system. Um, I think that the only problem with that old model was that there wasn't any kind of solo or duo matchmaking. But I mean, once that was like added, I think everything now is just so bad. I think there really has to be a larger map pool. I think one map per weekend was fine um a while ago. I don't think it is anymore. I think they should go back to when it was, I think it was like a 2 or 3 map rotation for each weekend. I do think rewards should, or at least the main rewards should come back on 3, 5, and 7 wins, and the old passages should come back. I think they should completely get rid of these two useless passages they have now. There needs to be more lobby balancing, um, and I think the easier passage should be for regular loot, possibly up to tier 3, and the normal passages for adept loot and loot up to tier 5 if they were going to keep that model of not having to go flawless, which kind of, that's the whole point of trials. um, I think they should remove the ability to purchase old trials gear for nothing. I think that was a stupid idea. Um, I remember having to work so hard to get um, the helm of the Jackal, that Warlock helmet, and now it's what, probably like a little bit of glimmer and an enhancement core. It just makes no sense. Like, you work so hard for all of these things, and then come the time, it's practically free. Um, and so I think they should revamp the old gear, add it to the loot pool with tiers. Um, make it. I think Bungie needs to stop kind of just pushing all this old stuff into the back burner and instead like just implementing it, making them good weapons, good armor, instead of just abandoning everything. This is personal. I think they should return the Scarab armor from Destiny 1. I hope that's the next armor set. And I think there should be more earnable cosmetics. The lobby balancing needs to be fixed for 2 to 3 man teams. It is impossible to be in a 2 man or 3 man team without going against people who are 5 times your skill level right now, especially since barely anyone's playing Trials anymore for lots of reasons. The special ammo economy, special ammo needs to go back to normal. I think it was like 2 sniper shots, 2 shotgun shots, for example, per round. Um, I don't think you should be starting any rounds without any special. Uh, I think it should go back to normal. And the Trials bounty should return. Have them award Glimmer, XP enhancement cores for minor ones, add Bright Dust for major ones. And with the Bright Dust, I think they should sell weapon ornaments for the Trials weapons and for the Adept Trials weapons for the earnable Bright Dust. I think that could be a neat little incentive. And so Saint 14 would be selling, or you'd have the old XP tier system, and by that I mean the one in the final shape where You would level them up, you get engrams, you get rewards, and now that is gone for every vendor for really no reason, making them all just so much more of an empty shell. And he'd also have the old revamped weapons for rewards. He'd sell passages, bounties, and the possible weapon ornaments. And the system of normal flawlesses and repeatable flawlesses needs to come back. I was excited for the huge trials change they did, and I regret ever being excited for it. Um, I think it was a very bad move, really bad move. Um, Normal flawlesses need to come back. You should be able to go flawless more than once in a weekend. That incentivizes playing more trials. And yeah, new emblems, shaders, ships, sparrows. There are still more trials emblems in Destiny 1 than there are in Destiny 2. Make that make sense. Like just make these things random drops in games. It's not that hard. You like Bungie, you're making so much stuff to go in the Eververse store. Make these things as little incentives to keep players playing these game modes. All right, let's get into competitive. Competitive, gosh, I remember when that first came out. Um, Bungie has a way of making these things very exciting when they first come out and sounding like these like revolutionary things, and then a month later, it's just horrible. It's just horrible. um, there's a lack of rewards incentive, and there's really no real reason to play this anymore. The only reason to play comp ever was just to get the competitive weapon. Um, whether it was Rose, Mercurial Overreach, whatever that sniper was, like all these comp weapons. But once you get the role you want on that, unless you want to get the Ascendant emblem, then there's nothing else to do for comp. And that needs to be fixed. I think the ranking system is fine. By that I mean like the gold, platinum, adept, whatever. I think Shax needs to be reworked definitely as a vendor. He's got like two options right now. He's got like buying legacy gear for like 2 glimmer, and I don't even know. Um, his tiering system from Final Shape needs to come back. Those rewards need to come back. Like it just makes me so upset why they added that stuff in the Final Shape, and it was very good, and then they just got rid of it. Why would you ever go to Shaxx now? Like it, um, remove the ability to buy old weapons and armor for nothing. I'm gonna say this for every vendor. Remove that. Use the bounty system I was talking about for Saint 14. Add competitive specific ones. Minor bounties get Glimmer Enhancement Cores, XP, major adds Bright Dust, and rework the old weapons and armor into the loot pool with tiers and new intrinsics. That could also go for the trials weapons. I think there should be an emblem for each rank. There should be added rewards of bright dust and tiered gear for ranking up rather than getting literally nothing for going from gold to platinum, even though it takes so long to go from there. Add shaders, ships, sparrows to the loot rotation, and add actual cool ones so people want to play and get them. And and when I'm saying to add those things into the loot rotation, that's not just like, hey, here are some shiny new things to get you playing this terrible game mode. It's more to help players who lose a lot. And by that, I mean um, not necessarily losses caused by lobby imbalancing, which 99% of them are, but if you're just not a PvP player, you can still play these and be like, hey, that's a really cool shader. I want to play some competitive and try and get that. And maybe while I'm playing competitive trying to get that shader, maybe I'm having kind of fun. Maybe I'm having some fun. Maybe I'm getting some of these new weapons and armor. Maybe I want to keep playing. It's just these simple things like this. I think the rotating weapon should be weekly. Um, and there should be an added intrinsic to them that's actually meaningful. They should be tiered already. And they should have an ornament purchasable for earnable bright dust. Uh, and I think after each match, the rewards could be old, revamped weapons and armor, weekly competitive weapon, cosmetics, enhancement cores, upgrade modules, old, new enhanced armor, etc. Lobby bouncing. They need to get a team on this. Um, I think there should be an exotic weapon you get for reaching Ascendant. I think they need to create more exotic weapons that have more specific routes to get them. Well, not just like, oh, complete this exotic mission to get it. Oh, complete this exotic quest to get it. No, I think it should be specific ways like getting to Ascendant in competitive. Um, and by doing that, make it a little less impossible to get to Ascendant in competitive. Um, and yeah, implement the adept. I think there should be adept comp weapons and tier 4 to 5 for ascendant wins and or rank ups, kind of similar to how it would be for wins after flawless for trials with those adept drops. Iron Banner. Iron Banner's always been a fine game mode. It's just the uh, gear in Iron Banner has never been very good. I mean, there have been like one or two weapons that have been like, oh, you guys need to get this. But once you've got it, there's no reason to play Iron Banner anymore. So I'm gonna say, and like I said, I'm gonna keep saying this: remove the ability to purchase the old weapons and armor. Just put it in the loot pool, make it not obsolete, tier it, something. Just stop selling these things for nothing, and then everyone's just gonna dismantle them and never use them. Add the tiers to old weapons and armor. I think they need to stop limiting tiers to um, new weapons and armor. It's stupid. If you're gonna make this like the new core part of the game, you gotta implement it to the entire game. Um, Return of the tier system from Final Shape, same bounty system, more cosmetics to drop between matches. I don't think there should be two Iron Banner modes. I think there should be one, probably control, or maybe a rotation for each Iron Banner week, because this divides the skill pools and it really causes a lot of imbalance. Um, and as far as the armor and weapons goes, if it's impossible to make them tiered and not useless, maybe make a buff, a weekly buff or something when Iron Banner is out, like, hey, these all the Iron Banner weapons and armor are slightly more powerful than your normal weapons and armor. Um, and so that'll kind of make people want to go get them. And then maybe that'll let you see how these weapons are comparing to normal weapons as they're buffed, and they can help you balance them so that they are uh, good to use normally. There should be ornaments for Bright Dust. Uh, and like I said, really no foundational changes need to be made. Iron Banner has always been fine. It's just there needs to be incentives to play it. There needs to be a reason to play it. Because I think a game mode being uh, good is not good enough anymore. And there just has to be a reason to play. So with other PvP, these like beta game modes, like, and I forget the word that was used for them, but it was like these like test game modes that were rotating. Those gotta go. Um, Tiered gear for, okay, so all of the old legacy Crucible gear, armor and weapons that Shaxx is selling for nothing right now should be tiered. It should be put back into the loot pool. It should be given to you for matches played and higher rewards for per win streak. There needs to be lobby balancing patches. Elimination, I've always thought should be there when Trials is not present. Always give them an option to do some elimination. Um, Specific tiered armor and weapons to incentivize players to play these game modes instead of getting them elsewhere. And by that, I mean give people armor and weapons that are specific to normal PvP so people play normal PvP instead of just getting them from a random drop elsewhere. And by that, you can implement those legacy Crucible armor and weapons, tier them, make them usable. Because right now, there's literally no reason, no incentive to play these game modes unless you just love control. And I don't think that's enough to keep this player base alive. Let's see. So I've got Strikes, Gambit, and the Tower left. Strikes, since the Edge of Fate came out, Bungie removed all incentive to do strikes. They're literally just an empty shell. There's no good rewards anymore. Um, I think that their ease of access has been worsened with the portal, and Zavala is just useless except for that weekly seasonal hub reward weapon, which just makes no sense. So I think Zavala should return to the final shape state with his rewards and tiers. Like I've been saying, never needed to be changed. It was a good system. Um, Again, remove the ability to purchase old weapons and armor and revamp them into the normal strike loot pool. Bring back Nightfall weapons, put a meaningful intrinsic on them. Grandmaster Nightfall should be a bigger deal, and they should be returned to what they used to be, at least in the final shape. Um, Cosmetics should come to Nightfall weapons like ornaments, and they should be able to be gotten with Bright Dust earned from those Zavala bounties or other sources. I think the Nightfall weapons are going to have to be tiered, and Grandmaster awards tier 5 and adept versions, whatever other rewards. And this is kind of a idea that I think bringing strike-specific weapons and armor, like from Destiny 1, whether it's with like the skeleton key chests or other means, um, as well as more armor and weapons that look like the boss you defeated. In Destiny 1, they had a very good system of that, and I think that could be an interesting take if they were to implement that back into this game. Um, I think it would help refresh the loot pool, make strikes kind of more replayable. And for the normal strikes, like strikes you can just like hover over Nessus, click on it, and go into one of those strikes. I think they should add like elemental burns and maybe like an exotic burn rotation. And with that, I mean like maybe a couple exotic weapons like Cold Heart that are like a little bit buffed for the week, just to make it a little more fun, just to incentivize um, uniqueness and loadouts. Uh, and I think that could be a good change. And yeah, I think all those weapons and armor and old Nightfall weapons and armor should be brought back into the loot pool, tiered, revamped, as well as strike specific loot. Gambit, honestly, Gambit, there's not much that can be done anymore. No one plays it. I don't remember last time I got an update. Um, the Drifter just needs to go back to his final shape reward progression state. The weapon armor pool is horrible. It needs to be completely reworked. There needs to be tiers, and a lot of this is repetitive, but a lot of it, but like these things are, I think, are very important. Um, New weapons and armor need to be made, and there should not be purchasable old gear. New cosmetics, ornaments, bring back bounties. The Gambit map rotation needs to be updated. The Vaulted maps need to come back. All the old gear needs to be reworked into a win-loss rotation. Um, and I think with all of this, the key is to make the armor and weapons that nobody ever uses from Gambit, Crucible, Vanguard, etc. not obsolete, and this would help like all of the Guardians to have their own sense of self and not all have to be using the exact same thing. Um, yeah, I mean, this isn't gonna save Gambit. Nothing, nothing can save Gambit anymore, but it might help the couple players who are still playing it. And the tower. finally. I think it feels really empty since the final shape. Since they got rid of the vendors' rewards, um, and I just think it's just so bare bones now. And I think over time it's kind of lost its character, and by that I mean like simple things like lighting, um, just the overall aesthetic of the tower has felt kind of depreciated over time. And so I talked about the Shaxx and Zavala and Drifter reworks. Banshee needs a rework as well. Um, I thought he could sell updated and tiered weapons from old seasons that are now unobtainable. Like we have the seasonal archive for cosmetics, but if we were to implement the actual um, weapons and armor pieces into maybe Banshee's rotation, that could be a little deal breaker. Deal breaker as in a good one. um, I don't think there is a good deal breaker. I don't know what I'm saying. It could be good. Um, and he could also sell legacy weapons from the vaulted raids and content that are reworked and not obsolete. And I mean weapons from the Red War, weapons from Curse of Osiris, weapons from the Leviathan raid, weapons from the Crown of Sorrow raid. All of those, I think, if they're not going to reprise those raids and reprise those expansions, they could at least reprise the weapons and armor that were associated with them and help these vendors not feel completely useless, like Banshee is completely useless right now. Um, and again, bring back his tiering system from the final shape, and rework his current weapon pool, or just remove it because there's no point. Nobody ever uses anything from it. There's just no point. Um, and he's got those blue bounties that award like 1 or 2 enhancement cores. They need to award way more and also add upgrade modules. And maybe get something like an Ascendant Shard for completing all the weekly bounties. And that is just because enhancement cores are going to become more and more and more important. And um, there needs to be sufficient ways to be able to get them. Cryptarch needs a little bit of a rework. His leveling system from the final shape really should just be brought back from decrypting engrams, getting rewards that way. Hawthorne needs to stop having that. I think the cap is like 200 for those clan engrams. That needs to go away. Um, simple vault space, gotta increase. And Zur just needs to have the final shape leveling again from buying his stuff. And then, maybe like make Hawkmoon craftable, you know, some little things like that. Okay, I've been talking for a while. These are just ways I don't think these changes, I'm not saying these changes would bring everyone back because a lot of people are probably never going to come back to this game. Um, but they could at least help. And, it's just weird because I think of like I get like nostalgic just for like the final shape last year. The state of the game last year just felt so much better than it is now. It felt like there was so much more to do. It felt like everything was more polished. Like it really feels like Edge of Fate was meant to be a Destiny 3, and it just made everything so bland. And oh my goodness. Yeah, and Renegades, I don't know how much that is going to do for this franchise. I really don't know how that story ties in at all to anything we've been going through in Destiny. Uh, but if Bungie could at least add some of these things, I think this could help um, build back trust with the community, and I think it could just make people want to play again. help new players get into the game. And yeah, this is how to fix how to fix Destiny 2 rather than making a Destiny 3. So yeah, let me know if you agree, disagree, have any points to add. I'm no expert, I'm no game developer. I am just a person who has way too many hours in this game. And these are things I saw that worked in the past. These are things that I think have always like they should have been in this game, like at least to start with. And yeah, I love this game so much, and I just wanted to get this all out here. Um, just because I felt like I had to. Um, you know, it's better not to keep all of these feelings cooped up in your brain. I played this game for so long, since elementary school, probably. Um, and it's like when you have something like this that has been just like a huge part of your life and a huge part of the friendships you've made and the experiences you've had, um, you gotta try your best to salvage it, to come with the community and help Bungie get straight. Yeah, thank you for listening to my rant, and yeah, let me know what you think.